Today, we're diving into a fascinating and honestly kind of terrifying question. Is the world you're experiencing right now actually what's out there? I mean, we all just assume our eyes act like perfect little video cameras, right? Passively recording the universe around us. But as it turns out, neuroscience paints a vastly different, almost unbelievable picture. So, is your reality actually real? Well, the short answer is it's complicated. Now, you aren't hallucinating, and no, we aren't stuck in some computer simulation, but your brain is actively filtering the world before you ever consciously experience it. You think you're just reacting to objective reality, but you're actually reacting to your brain's highly edited, heavily biased interpretation of it. It basically comes down to this. Your mind does not see the world as it is. It sees the world as it expects it to be. And look, this isn't just some catchy philosophy. It is hard-backed neuroscience. Millions of us wake up every single day and operate inside a world constructed entirely by our own assumptions and internal stories, completely unaware that we're actually the architects of our own limitations. All right, let's look at part one, the invisible mental prison. Modern life is relentlessly exhausting, isn't it? Both physically and psychologically. I mean, before your feet even hit the floor in the morning, your brain is just bombarded. You've got looming deadlines, a phone buzzing with notifications, complex problems to solve, and heavy expectations. And right in the middle of all that chaos, your brain allows these quiet, insidious beliefs to start whispering to you, telling you that you're falling behind, or simply that you're just not enough. And here is how that invisible trap actually gets built, brick by brick. Unexamined negative thoughts subtly shape your decisions. Then, those compromised decisions dictate your actions, and naturally, those actions produce poor outcomes. But the real tragedy here? Those bad outcomes loop right back around to reinforce the exact negative belief you started with in the first place. It is a literal, real-time self-fulfilling prophecy. Moving on to section 2, the brain as prediction machine. Okay, to really grasp this, imagine you've been wearing blue-tinted glasses from the exact moment you were born. If you look through blue lenses, everything in your entire world looks blue. Now, the sky isn't literally touching the ground with blue paint, and your kitchen table isn't actually blue, but to you, it is. The reality isn't blue, your filter is. And your brain works in the exact same way with the psychological filters you've picked up over your lifetime. Neuroscientists actually call the brain a prediction machine. Every single second, your senses are slammed with billions of bits of data. It's way too much for your conscious mind to handle. So your brain steps in like a highly stressed, over-caffeinated movie editor. It's constantly deleting, filtering, and prioritizing information based on what it predicts is about to happen, pulling entirely from your past experiences. Because it's a prediction machine. Before you consciously experience any situation, before you even walk into that big meeting or sit down for a first date, your brain has already made assumptions about what's going to happen and what's possible for you. It has literally colored the room before you've even opened the door. Which brings us to section 3, how attention shapes reality. In real time, this mental filter is absolutely incredibly powerful. If you tell yourself, I'm bad at this, your brain literally starts scanning the environment for evidence of your failure, and it completely ignores your successes. If you think, nobody likes me, you're going to perceive every slight shift in tone as a massive rejection. Think there are no opportunities out there? Your brain will actively delete the visual data of an opportunity standing right in front of you. Your thoughts dictate exactly what you notice. Picture two people walking into the exact same room. The economy is the same, the network is the same, even the lighting is identical. But brain A, it's wired to look for threats. It only sees confirmation of failure and risk. Now, brain B is wired for possibilities. It looks around and sees paths for growth and collaboration. One person walks out of that room feeling completely defeated, while the other leaves totally inspired. The physical reality was exactly the same, but their neural architecture was just completely different. Over months, and especially over years, these tiny little variations in perception really compound. The person who sees possibilities makes different choices. Those choices, repeated daily, become deeply ingrained habits, and those habits eventually diverge so far from the other person's that they end up creating completely different lives. This right here is exactly how the reality you live in is constructed from the bottom up. All right, section 4, rewiring your neural pathways. So you decide to break the cycle and think more intentionally, right? But almost immediately you hit this internal wall. Suddenly, that old familiar voice pops up in your head. It's loud, it's crystal clear, and it says, you'll fail. Then it just piles on the apathy. It tries to convince you that trying is totally useless. Don't bother, it whispers, conveniently reminding you of that one time 5 years ago when things didn't work out perfectly. And man, this voice feels so deeply personal. It doesn't feel like a simple brain malfunction. It feels almost like your true identity speaking directly to you. It feels like you are telling you that nothing changes, so why even try? But here is the absolute best, most liberating piece of neuroscience you are gonna hear. Those intrusive thoughts, they aren't your destiny. They are not your fixed identity. They are simply learned neural pathways. It is just mental software running on autopilot because of years of repetition. And because it's just a pattern, it can be rewritten the very moment you shine a light of awareness on it. Let's bring it all together in Section 5, Transforming Your Everyday Reality. So how do we actually do this? How do we rewrite the patterns? Well, it starts with creating a little distance through 3 key shifts. First, become aware of your thoughts instead of just blindly obeying them. Second, question your negative assumptions instead of accepting them as gospel truth. And third, observe your emotions like a scientist rather than being entirely consumed by them. By consciously putting on a different lens, you stop being a victim to those automatic filters. And this cascade right here is how the real transformation happens. You intercept your thoughts, which redirects your attention. That new focus dictates new behavior. Over time, that behavior forms new habits. And ultimately, those positive habits forge a brand new identity. You literally become a different person, operating in a totally different world. But let's be super clear about one thing. We are not talking about some mystical magic here. The external world doesn't shift just because you sat in a room and wished really, really hard. Reality changes through behavior. It shifts through the consistent, intentional decisions you make one moment at a time, finally armed with a brain that is working for you instead of against you. There's a great saying, watch your thoughts. They become your direction. Because the most powerful thing about a thought isn't that it changes the world instantly. No, it's that a thought changes the person who enters the world tomorrow, and that person, they have the power to change everything. So I want to leave you with this one slightly provocative question to ponder. What stories are you repeating in your mind today? Seriously, take a moment to really examine that. Because until next time, I highly encourage you to pay very close attention to the quiet stories in your head. They aren't just background noise. They might just be quietly shaping the exact reality you're going to experience tomorrow. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning your lenses.